Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. I'm Leon Blevins of El Paso Community College Television. As you've noticed, if you've watched my program before, that I like to open the program with some sort of short story. The short story for today is about music. When I was very young, I was born in the Great Depression, 1937. When I was young, sometimes I would be able to go to the movie theater for a dime. We could buy Cokes for a nickel and popcorn for a nickel and so on. And I would hear the music up on the screen at the theater. It was very unusual kind of music. Later I learned it's classical music that was being played with cartoons and other things like that. Eventually, when we were well off enough to get a radio, and in fact 2 radios, one in my bedroom for example, I could listen to music, and the music I would listen to was from Louisiana, Shreveport, the Louisiana Hayride, hillbilly music. My parents eventually divorced, and sometimes I'd go to California in the summer, dial on the radio, and I would hear a different kind of music, such as I'd heard in the movie theater. On Wilshire Boulevard, I even remember they mentioned where the broadcast was coming from, and it was what we call classical music. So I had an education in these different areas, and today I still enjoy both styles of music. I enjoy bluegrass and hillbilly music, but I really deeply love symphonic music. For that reason, I have somebody from the El Paso Symphony with me today, Rosemary Flores. Is that right?
That's correct.
And what is your title with the El Paso Symphony?
I am the operations manager and marketing director for the El Paso Symphony.
Okay. Now, what about you? What was your background in music? Did you have the same experiences seeing the cartoons and wondering about that?
I sure did. You know, I listened to the cartoons, and that was pretty much it. You know, I didn't know much about classical music when I started working with the El Paso Symphony. I was in commercial leasing before that for many, many years, sort of a business, background.
Oh my.
And I started working with the El Paso Symphony, I would say about 25 years ago.
Were you from here?
And yes, I was born and raised here in El Paso. And, I didn't know much, and I started working there, and I learned a lot. And I love my job. I love what El Paso Symphony does for our community. I'm very proud of the organization and its role in our community, what it does for entertainment. The music itself is entertaining, and then what we do within our outreach programs within the schools and all of that. So it's been an interesting 25 years, and I feel like I'm still learning every day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I said Native American. You're Native
American. Native El Paso.
Being born over
I'm
here
not
in El Paso.
Yeah.
One time my granddaughter was with my wife in South El Paso, and they were at a McDonald's there, and they saw these Mexican people talking Spanish, and my granddaughter asked, "Grandma, are we still in America?" And she said, "Yes, we are." And you have a...
I'm bilingual, that's for sure. I learned English in the schools and spoke Spanish sometimes at home, and so
Well, don't we have interaction with some of the musical groups over in Juarez?
We do. There's a program there called Azteca, and they're a youth symphony, and we have a youth symphony, the El Paso Symphony Youth Orchestras.
Okay.
And we're collaborating to work together and do a performance in January where those kids will perform with our youth symphony here in El Paso at probably the Plaza Theater, and then the whole group will go to Juarez. So that's really exciting for us to bring these 2 groups of children, to have them learn from each other, to perform. I mean, music is the universal language, as they say, and it truly is. And it's nice to see that both groups will have an opportunity. It's going to be something special.
Is that an annual event?
This is something new for us. This is something new that that has been in the works since the fall, and we've been working with the administration of the group in Juarez.
Okay.
And they've been meeting since August and trying to work details out, or even, I think it's really started in the summer, the talks, about this concert. And it's coming to fruition, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen in January, and we'll see how it works out. But I think it's going to be wonderful for both groups of kids to learn from each other, see each other perform together.
Well, we need to date this program. This is November of 2016, so you're kind of telling us what's happening, a new thing.
And this is going to happen in January 2017.
Okay.
Right.
And so maybe it could become an annual event.
We hope so.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the El Paso Symphony. You grew up here. Did you go to the symphony when you were younger?
Well, I went to being from El Paso, being in the public schools, I was invited in the 5th grade, like every 5th grader is, to the Young People's Concerts.
Okay.
And those programs have been around for 79 years. So if you grew up here in El Paso, if you went to a public school or a private school here, you were probably invited to them. I went to the Abraham Chavez the first time I went to that concert.
Okay.
And it was so, just amazing. You're a little kid, you walk in and you see this magnificent theater and you're like, wow. And then you get in your seats and you see all these, people on stage doing these wonderful things. I had no idea back then that I would be working for the El Paso Symphony Orchestra.
Okay, now since you've been working for them, we don't have time to talk about a lot of its history, but what's your favorite part of learning about the El Paso Symphony with regard to its history?
There's a lot of things. We just celebrated our 85th anniversary last season. So this is the 86th year. And this is, I think, a really cool fact, that El Paso has this. We are the longest continuously running symphony in the state of Texas. And I think we can all be proud of that.
Of all things, out here in West Texas, they
Right.
make fun of us, but here
Right.
we have this
And
culture.
here we are, and we have the longest continuously running symphony in the state of Texas. I think that's pretty cool.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
Great.
and-
Now, what are your duties? Outreach, you're out here with us, outreach today.
Right.
Do you take groups into the schools? You mentioned the 5th grade. You
We
still
bring, the 5th graders come to us.
They come to you.
We have about 12,000 5th graders that come to us every year, and 12 to 15,000 kids. We have kids that came last year from Marathon, Texas, kids from Dallas, Texas who
Oh,
are
wow.
coming this year. And of course, El Paso District, Socorro District, Isleta District, Gadsden, all the surrounding area. And they come and they listen to these concerts. What has changed about these concerts is also very cool. We have now partnered with Carnegie Hall and their Link Up program. And that's an interactive program where the kids get, and the teachers get curriculum at the beginning of the school year. And they work teaching these kids the recorder and things about music. And now those kids, in 5th grade, you're introduced to music in our schools. And we're very lucky to have that. And so some of the kids are learning violin. And then they get to come into our concert and they get to play with the symphony and interact and sing. And so it's a very interactive concert. And that's very good. And we've been doing that for 70-some years, certainly longer than I've been around.
Well, let me ask you about Music Under the Stars. I performed at Music Under the Stars. It became well known in El Paso as Uncle Sam.
You did, I remember you.
A dancing Uncle Sam.
I remember seeing you.
And would go down I'd do the parade on the east side for July the 4th in the morning, and then go down to Music Under the Stars at the Shamazal
Right.
in the evening. And one of my most memorable ones was in 2010, and I was leading a group of young kids. I love to work with the kids, in a conga line while the symphony was up
I was there.
and it showed up all over the
Yeah,
news and in
we
the
were on stage.
newspapers, on TV, and great. And then, as I understand it, Music Under the Stars has moved out to Fort Bliss, Biggs Field. Is that right?
Well, Music Under the Stars is still at the Chamizal, but it's run by the City of El Paso, the Museum and Cultural Affairs Department.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and they hire groups to perform there during the summer program of Music Under the Stars. And the symphony was hired by them to perform on the 4th of July. But for reasons, they decided to hire the Wind Symphony, which is from the University of Texas at El Paso.
Okay.
And we were invited, the El Paso Symphony Orchestra was invited by the MWR to perform at Pop Goes the Fort at Fort Bliss, at Biggs Park. And we've been doing this for 6 years. And what better way than to perform in front of all these men and women who sacrifice for our country. And we get to perform there at Fort Bliss for them. And we've been doing this for 6 years. But it's also open to the entire community, to El Paso. So they allow, people to come on the post, and enjoy this free concert. And then afterwards is, of course, what everybody loves, the fireworks.
Right.
And we end the program with we were talking about it, the 1812th Overture by Tchaikovsky. And they have the cannons, and they actually use them there at Fort Bliss and then the fireworks start. And it's a beautiful program, and we've been doing it for, like I said, for now 6 years. We've been partnering with the MWR and Fort Bliss, and it all started under the leadership of General Petard, who invited us and said, you know, we need to have a concert here for our soldiers and for our community. And we, you know, everybody's invited, and it's always on the 4th of July. So whatever it is, day of the week, you can plan your calendar and you can mark it and say, you know, on the 4th of July, we're going to come out to this concert.
Well, I've
And
done
it's
years
wonderful.
of programs out at Fort Bliss, both with current military and veterans groups. And I think the last time I did a program out there was at Biggs Field, and it was with Lieutenant Dan's band. Lieutenant Dan was in the Forrest Gump movie. And my wife Shannon and I were out there for that one, and we get a lot of those invitations. So we slowed down some. I turned 79 this year. You mentioned the 79 anniversary a while ago on one of these things. And so I wish I could dance like I used to. Things have to change.
Well, I hope
There's
you
where
can join
those young
us.
people come in. You have to get
Yeah,
the young people,
yeah.
teach them, and let them continue.
Well, if they see you there, maybe this coming 4th of July, 2017, they'll be inspired and say,
Okay.
hey, I can do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well,
hope
I
you'll
tell
join
people
us.
a lot of times, I tell them
Yeah.
how old I am, and I have one artificial knee and the other one is worn out, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I just have
Nope.
to do things a little bit slower.
Dancing, music, it's all beautiful, you know. It feeds the soul, and we all need it, the arts, you know. We all need that. It's, you know, it can't just be all this other
Yeah,
stuff,
right.
you know. We need beauty in our world, and beauty comes in a lot of shapes and forms. And music, dance, art, they certainly provide that for us.
Tell me about how many work with you to get all of these things done.
Well, we have a 4-person staff full-time. Our executive director, you know, there's my position, a business manager, and a ticket manager. And then we have a part-time grant writer. So we're a small staff, we're a nonprofit organization, but we do have these other components, the El Paso Symphony Youth Orchestras. And that program has about 280 students that are part of that program, and they're learning instruction, and we have a music director for them, Dr. James Welch. They have their staff, their teaching staff, and these kids get together on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays throughout the school year, and they practice, they rehearse. They have 4 performances throughout the year. They just had their opening concert this past Sunday. And the program consists of, you know, like 4 different orchestras, a beginning, an intermediate, the advanced kids. They're ages 8 to 22. We don't turn anyone down. They do pay tuition, but we also provide a lot of scholarships for these kids.
Do you provide the instruments, or do they have to bring their own instruments?
Most of these kids are already playing in their schools. That's one of the requirements that we have, is that if they belong to the public school system, private school system, and if their school has a music program, that they belong to that. Because our goal and our purpose is to work with the schools. It's to work and add to what they do. You know, we're not just this independent group. We're working with the community, with the schools that are here, and we're trying to help them out. So we have the staff for the Youth Symphony. It's a small staff too, but we have that. And we have another component that we just started about 4 years ago called the Tocando Music Project. And it is, we're very proud of that program. It is a program that's based on the El Sistema program that came out of Venezuela, that was started. Some people have heard about it on 60 Minutes, where they provide free music to just any child, every child, you know. And there's been some wonderful musicians that have come out of this program. Gustavo Dudamel, the music director of the LA Philharmonic, is a product of that program. Our concert master, Simone Gallo, is a product of that program. So there's been a wave in the United States to start programs like this. They're taking different forms because we have a different government, a different way of working. But the El Paso Symphony started a program at Hart Elementary School in the barrio. And we provide free after-school music to these kids, and we provide them the instruments. We provide teachers to teach them. They go every day, Monday through Thursday, during the school week, and they learn music. But we also help them with their studies. You know, we have people working with them to make sure they do their homework, so that some kids are doing homework, some kids are playing, and then they switch out, you know, and so we're helping them. And we've seen that their test scores at that school have gotten better, and these kids have taken ownership, and it's really wonderful to see them. And then we've moved this program, and we've expanded it to Mission Ridge, which is in the Sparks community. So we are targeting schools that have low income and that maybe don't have music programs already in their schools, so that we can provide this program to them free of charge. So we have to raise a lot of funds for it.
Oh, I love dealing with the children's issues, but you know, our time is going so fast. We need to talk about
The Symphony.
the symphony.
Yeah.
And your conductor. He conducts here and somewhere else. Who is the conductor now, and where are the other places he also conducts?
Bohuslav Rate, and he conducts in Lake Charles, and he conducts in Midland, the Midland Orchestra, but not the Midland Orchestra, Midland, Texas.
Okay.
This is in Michigan.
Okay.
Okay, and so, but he lives here. He chose El Paso as his home when he came to us about
It's cold up in Michigan.
4 years ago, and he just loved it here. And he and his family decided, you know what, we're going to live in El Paso. We like the people here, and so he bases out of, he lives in Santa Teresa.
Okay.
But, you know, that's El Paso.
That's El Paso.
So he's based out of here. He conducts here in El Paso, and then he goes to Lake Charles. He goes to Michigan. He's from the Czech Republic originally, and he still goes there every summer, and he conducts elsewhere where he's invited as a guest conductor. He's a wonderful conductor. He's got a lot of, oh my goodness, he's got a lot of energy. And if you've ever come to a concert, everything's done really fast.
And he chooses a wide selection of
He
things
does.
for different concerts. Now, Shannon and I are going to be going to this year's concert. Let's go down. Our time is going so fast. I want to mention that you have Christmas concerts, and we've already gotten tickets for the Christmas concert this year.
It's Christmas with Michael W. Smith,
Okay.
featuring the El Paso Symphony, and special guest Jordan Smith. Here's a little flyer.
Okay.
You know, I think a lot of people know Jordan Smith from The Voice. He was the winner of season 9.
Yes, I remember seeing him.
You know, he's got a fantastic, beautiful voice. And that's going to be happening on November 30th at the Abraham Chavez Theater at 7:30 p.m. We have plenty of tickets available. People can get them at epso.org or ticketmaster.com. And it's a wonderful concert. He came to El Paso, I'd say maybe about 2004 or something like that, and performed at the Don Haskins.
So he's been here.
And this year he's coming with us.
You have some others. I got one of that in my mail at home.
Right.
The flyer there, and you have some individual flyers.
November 18 and 19, that's this coming weekend. Now, I don't know, today is November the 16th.
It won't be on air
So it's
until
not
after
going to
this
be
one is
as
over.
so
but
for everybody, we just performed this
the
then.
quality of people that you bring in, yes.
Right, and this is Misha Vyman. He's a young violinist, and he'll be performing with us. He's performing Bruch's Violin Concerto. We do a lot of collaborations with other organizations in El Paso, and the UTEP Concert Chorale, led by Dr. Lisa Wilson, will be performing with us in a piece by Max Lauritsen, and it's a beautiful, beautiful piece, a choral piece. It's called Luz Eterna, which is basically eternal light. And so we're excited to have them. They also performed with us when we did Beethoven's 9. So we do yearly collaborations with the UTEP Concert Chorale. And we start the program with La Gazaladra. But in January, our concerts, our classical performances there, we collaborate with El Paso Pro Musica. And they're bringing in a guitarist who will perform with the El Paso Symphony, Jason Thoreau, I believe is his last name, and we're calling the program Viva España because it's got a Spanish flair to it. And he's performing let's see here. I don't know if you all can
There it is.
see it.
We're going to
But-
leave these with my co-producer, Marco Lara,
Great.
and he'll weave those in.
Okay, he's performing Rodrigo's Concerto de Aranjuez, and on the program is also Defia's Three-Cornered Hat and Rimsky-Korsakov's Capriccio Español.
Oh, I love
But
that.
we have, in addition to the concert we're having this coming weekend, we have 3 other classical concerts in January. We have a concert in February, which is a special program. It's called Copland in Mexico. And it's going to be a multimedia concert. We're doing the music of Copland and Revueltas. And there's a Mexican film called Redes. And Revueltas wrote the score. And so we're going to have the film being shown on a screen and the symphony performing live to the score of the music at the same time. So that's pretty cool.
We've come a long ways in over 80 years.
Yeah, so, that's going to be February 17th and 18th. But everybody can get our schedule on our website at epso.org.
Okay.
Because we have some wonderful programs going on. In addition, we started these programs. We're doing the music of Prince in February, the 25th. And there's like a full rock band with a singer and then the symphony performing with them. They write scores for the symphony, and it's really beautiful. We just did the music of the Eagles, and it's great music and people love it. But when you hear it backed with an El Paso with an orchestra, 50-member orchestra, 60-member orchestra performing with them, the music is just so rich and so beautiful, and it's just really special.
Well, I remember when the Beatles came to the United States, and eventually symphonic groups, they began to weave Beatles music into their performances. Those are some of the earliest I can remember. But way back, even with the movies, you had a lot of pop singers that sometimes would be mixed in with orchestras in the movies. And so you're bringing
And
in
some of these guys have backgrounds in classical music. We did the music of Queen.
A lot of them are their teachers.
And Freddie
in
Mercury
schools. I
had
would say
an
about
opera
97%
background. I mean, his
of our,
voice, amazing voice, and so some of these guys have that experience. Some of the guitarists from these rock bands have already some of that background in them, and they appreciate. I mean, music is music, and you don't have to know anything about it. And that's a misconception that a lot of people think about the symphony. Well, I don't know anything about classical music.
But
So I
music
can't
is an
go.
international language.
But you don't have to know anything. You just have to go listen and come and listen with an open mind, and you'll realize, wow, that's some spectacular stuff going on stage, that 60 people are putting together, and it's beautiful. And if people would just, forget about that, they have to know something and just come and listen, they'd appreciate it, and they'd see it for what it is, which is just fantastic music that was written.
I work with the Chopin Music Festival, dressing as Chopin as a greeter for those programs every year with Lucy Scarborough. And we get to meet the guests. I'm assuming that you've been able to meet a lot of these guests that have come in.
Yeah. You just picked up Misha yesterday, a really nice guy. These musicians are wonderful.
Okay. Out of these years
I
that
got
you-
to meet Yo-Yo Ma when
Oh,
he came
Yo-Yo
and performed
Ma.
with the El Paso
That's what
Symphony.
I was fixing to ask you.
That's pretty cool.
Out of these years you've been working with the symphony, who was the one that was a favorite you got to meet?
Yo-Yo Ma. That was pretty impressive. I was very impressed.
And you were impressed with his music too,
Yeah,
right?
and his music, But Tony Bennett performed with the El Paso Symphony Orchestra. We had, I'm trying to think of, some of the big names that have come and
Now,
performed
Tony
with
Bennett
us.
goes way back
Yeah.
as one of those pop
Yeah.
stars that was woven into
Yeah.
symphonic
Juan
music.
Gabriel, before
Oh.
he, many, many years ago, wonderful man, performed with the El Paso Symphony. Maybe we can do a tribute to him.
Right.
He
Well, you have
certainly
a
deserves
treasure of
one.
memories, what I call crystal moments. Do you have a favorite symphony? Now let me put you on the spot. We just have a couple of minutes left. A favorite symphony by a classical composer?
Tchaikovsky Symphony No. 4.
Oh, okay,
I think that's a fantastic piece of music.
okay.
But like I tell you, I'm still learning. I'm listening. I didn't know anything about classical music when I started. Other than just like everybody else, what we hear in the movies, what we hear in the cartoons. What we've grown up. Just listening to, and not really even associating it with what it is. But we've heard it because you hear it also in movies. But I've come to appreciate the music. I've come to appreciate what the El Paso Symphony Orchestra does for its community, for El Paso. And I didn't know that I would like the Mahler Symphony No. 1. Everybody talks about how difficult that piece is, and it's kind of all over the place. And when I heard our symphony performance, I thought, oh my God, that's crazy. He put everything in there but the kitchen sink, as they say. But it was a fantastic piece of music, and I truly loved it. I was like, wow. I've been wowed by a lot of things as I've been working there.
Well, I've given a lot of my music away, vinyl records and some CDs. I gave quite a few, nearly all of my opera records to El Paso Opera. And I'm thinning out right now a lot of classical CDs because I'm retiring, and my children won't want all of those things that I've collected.
Right.
So it's nice to pass them along to people that enjoy them and would appreciate them.
And there's nothing like a live performance. Whatever it is that you like to listen to, whatever kind of music, support all of that. Support live performances, whether it's dance, music, theater. Just support it, because there's nothing like it. Live performance is fabulous.
I agree with that, absolutely. Well, any other things I've overlooked? I've always try to decide what questions would be interesting to the audience. Any last thing in our 3 minutes we have left that you think the audience should know about the El Paso Symphony and its work?
The El Paso Symphony is El Paso. Our musicians are from El Paso. They work here, they live here. I would say 98% of our musicians are educators in our schools, whether it be elementary, middle, high school, college, the University of Texas at El Paso, EPCC. They are working, living members of our community. And I invite everybody to come out and see a performance, listen to them. They're fabulous.
Well, when corporate executives are looking for places to locate, one of the first questions they ask
is,
do you have a symphony?
It's very important. The arts are important in the community. And people look at that when they're retiring. They want things to do. They want a variety of things to do. Like you say, corporations are looking, is there a symphony there? Does that community support the arts? Well, we've been around for 86 years, so obviously our community does, and we should be very proud of that too.
That's a good testimony too.
Yeah, but I still, I know that we're very busy, and we're all doing so many things, but take the time to see a live performance.
We're going to come and see. Michael W. Smith.
Great. Thank you.
Good to have you with us
Thank
today.
you.
And we look forward to seeing you at some of these events, and you might even show me up at some of them as Uncle Sam.
Yeah. I'm taking you up on that.
Okay.
We'll see you on the 4th of July.
Keep in touch with me.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, and those of you out in television land, regardless of where you've seen me or where you have seen my special guest today, we want you to know our job here is to inform you and to educate you on things about El Paso, Texas.